I'm going to walk you through how we built this chicken tractor for ourselves. I'm also going to give you the tips and tricks, things that I wish I would have done differently to hopefully help you out. If you just want to see the build photos, you can jump forward to 14 minutes and 30 seconds. And if you want to watch this video without the background music, you can click on the card that's displayed at the top of the screen now. This is our chicken coop. I modeled this after one that a guy built, which was way cooler than mine. It actually had a bottom here, and it actually had powered wheels, so you could drive it around with a remote control, and it was also automated. So I just watched his videos, and this is what we wound up coming up with. So first thing, these are all pressure treated boards on the bottom. These are two by fours, and they're 14 feet stretches, so that gives them, with being able to go under the coop, a full 14 feet. The coop is 5 foot wide by 4 foot deep. I did that to match along with 4x8 sheets of plywood to make my life as easy as possible. These are actually just PVC. They are literally just 10-foot sticks of PVC, and what you do is you put them in, if I can get, hey girls, you gonna tell me about it? Maybe you can see it better over there. There are just these little rings that allow the PVC to fit right inside of there. Is this, I think it's 1/2 inch. I'm pretty sure it's 1/2 inch. I'll double check. But yeah, so then what we did, we used chicken wire. If you're in a much higher chance of predator area than I am, everybody says use hardware mesh. This has worked out great for us. They go in the coop every night. We are home all day, every day. My kids are homeschooled, obviously, and so we are never not watching the chickens, so nothing has even come close to them. I am extremely disappointed in my door. This did not come out at all as well as I wanted it to. Most people that use these PVC pipes for their runs, they also do a bracing board that goes from the actual coop all the way out to here. And I probably could have or should have done that. If aerial predators are a big concern, this is going to be something that you want to do, because if they land on top of that, having that extra support. But honestly, I mean, my kids have like leaned against this. It will give way a little bit, but really it's relatively sturdy. So my complaint with the door is I use these 1x1s. So this is just 1x1 square to do the interior. And so the door is incredibly flimsy. If you've got a better way to do that, obviously figure that out. My plan is actually to build a 2x4 structure for the interior of the door, and then that would allow me, just a lot more strength to have those 45s and make it where I can open and close that door. The front are just these two handles that allow me to grab on and pick up, and this moves. We move it every single day. And you can see what we have here is just a super simple kind of cantilever system where these wheels go down. So this is the holding pin, which keeps it in place whenever I rotate it in, which I'll show you here in a second. So I just pull this pin out, I just grab onto this, and you can see we'll just raise it up. Hopefully the chickens don't run out while I'm doing this. Stay in there, girls. So then you can see it raises it up just enough. No, girls, stay in there. And then the pin stabs in there to hold it in place. All right, girls, don't run out. And then you can just let it back down. We go there, and then obviously the pin just stays in there. Obviously I have to raise both sides whenever I do this. It did turn out being a lot heavier than I anticipated. So if you're wanting like the kids to be able to move it, or somebody that's not as like big or physically strong, you'll probably want to do another set of wheels in the front. There's a lot of different systems online for how to do this. Some people also like put them in the middle, so the whole coop kind of like floats. There's 1,000 things online for how to do that. The top up here is really simple. It is just some leftover sheet metal that my mom actually had from building her office. And then I did this here to keep the spacing. So I actually ran this chicken wire. It actually goes almost all the way up to here on both sides, because I didn't want to cut it. And then I just folded it over, and then you can see I just stapled everywhere all the way along. If predators are a really big concern, then obviously, again, you're gonna want to use that hardware mesh. We did a lot of research about people saying it's very unlikely that chickens are actually going to get cold. The biggest problem you're going to have is actually if they are moist. So you want to have a lot of airflow. So I was okay with those top things the way they were, and with the slicky roof, kind of be a big deal. This is our door. It is ridiculously simple. So basically, you can see in here, this is just a guide wire that's got fishing string that goes up to there that I just tie in. And so you just pull on the string and it raises the door up. You can see the structure is just, I haven't even finished the top bar yet, but whatever, it works. So I've got this kind of backing plate. That back board is just to make sure that this containing boards, these wider ones, stick out far enough so that that door can move up and down. And I literally just pull on the string, it raises it up, I untie the string, lower it down, and then that gets it in place, kind of thing. This ramp was really easy. I still haven't added the crossbars. I need to do that. It's not a big deal in the summer because obviously they can get in, but when it gets slippery or stuff like that. This is literally, you can see here, I've got a 2x4. I don't know if you can actually tell. It's on an angle. So I just attached it with one screw so that I could actually tilt it whenever we attached it. And then underneath there is like a little blocking bar to just hold it in place. Oh yeah, you're gonna stick your head in there? Okay. You can see the blocking bar underneath there just holds the little ramp in place and makes it where it doesn't fall down. So that is the top. Again, this is, I didn't need to do this, but the top is pressure treated actually 3/4 inch. And then so is the bottom of the coop down here. The rest is just the 1/2 inch stuff. So I've got 2 of these latches, one there. Some people say you need to do the locking ones, the ones with the carabiner, because of, you know, animals and stuff like that. But this is, again, worked for us so far. So then this just pops open and we've got the interior of the coop. They're laying boxes. Our chickens are brand new babies, so they are not actually laying anything yet. If I was gonna do this again, I would change the way I did this, and I would actually make the laying boxes its own separate entity, where the floor of the laying boxes would be here, the laying boxes would be attached to that floor, and then there would be a top to it as well. I would make sure, and then basically make it where the whole thing is removable. So I would just like build that box basically, and then you can slide this whole thing out. These are just attached to the floor. They're a little flimsy, but it's worked for now. I've also got a different watering system that we're working on, a different food system. You can see their little thing way out there is just one of those. I'm gonna do the little PVC system. Inside, we've got 2 roosting bars. It's 18 inches from the floor to the first bar, and then 18 inches from the first bar to the second bar to give them enough space and structure so they can jump up there and everything. But the interior, very, very simple. We use obviously just the simple wood flakes kind of thing. Yeah, I can't wait to get rid of that watering system. But whenever they do start laying eggs, obviously we can just open the whole back of this, and that makes it very, very easy to get to the eggs and also clean the coop out. It's pretty easy to clean it out anyway, just because I can just scrape everything out. And we're following the like deep litter method. So that's something where, I'll mess with that later. That's something where you just keep adding to the bottom kind of thing. All right, so the way I built this, and I can share some photos of the process, is basically I just started with the superstructure of this box. And so these are 2x4s. We measured them all the way up. We cut them. I ran this. I think this is 30-degree plane or something like that. So measured each of those, cut those boards. Then I laid the board out to see what the plane would be. I cut the 2 back ones. Then we did crossbars on the bottom here. You can actually see this very bottom one. And then we just attached those to the vertical posts. Then I did the same thing along the back. We'll stop there. That's actually the first mistake I made because I've never done this, but you can see how my chicken wire is on the outside of that wood. Well, the first thing I would do, once you get that superstructure built, once you get that outside the box built where you've got the bottom here, the sidebars there, is then apply your chicken wire to this exterior, because then when you put this external sheeting on, it'll immediately sandwich it in between those 2 boards and give you a really good place where you don't even have to worry about staples. Same thing with this base. Whenever you're putting on this run and attaching it, obviously the chicken wire will already be there, but then you can attach the baseboard for the whole run, and then again your chicken wire will be sandwiched in there. Same thing up here. I wish I would have done that differently where, you know, it was actually on there and then I went in behind that board as opposed to stapling to the surface. So that was my one like major mistake that I really regretted, because doing this way and cutting it, and I've still got some white trim to add. We've got it painted, but we haven't got attached yet. But that was one major drawback that I was very disappointed in myself on doing. Same thing with this chicken wire. Before you attach the brackets that hold these in place, and before you attach the actual the pipes here, put your chicken wire down inside of there. So you can see here I had to add an extra layer. This one I did it after I added those, and it was very frustrating. So put all of your chicken wire, like do one side of the chicken wire over here, right? You get your stretch or whatever and you know how far it's going to go over. Put your chicken wire along here, staple it all along that whole expanse. You also want to make sure you leave yourself a lot more space than this that I did. I still stapled this, but I would feel a lot more comfortable if this went down like 3 or 4 inches and then was stapled there as well. But yeah, so put all of your chicken wire, attach the end this side, then staple it all along there, then put, you know, your braces in there, then put your connectors for holding these pipes in there. Again, if you don't use PVC, if you do this with wood, God help your back for trying to pick this thing up and move it around. So if you wind up doing that, you need to have like a tractor pull thing in the front. You need to brace way more across here. You need to have like a hitch up front, or just be like, I don't know, a bodybuilder to be able to move this thing around. The door is the other thing. Check out, I'm going to eventually switch this out to an automated chicken door, but I read online about chicken doors killing chickens and stuff like that, and it's been really easy for us to just walk out and, you know, get them kind of thing. On the inside, it's kind of hard to see this now, but basically you've got 2 ways to cut this floor. I cut it completely square, but most people will cut this notch out and then lay the board down inside of there. What I did was I cut it totally square, matching this inside area, and then I just took an extra 2x4 and put it along this edge here. I gave it a little bit more bracing. I caulked all along the ledges to keep moisture and stuff from getting in behind those boards. That might have been, you know, unnecessary, but it is what it is. So that's what I did. But again, if you want to cut a notch out for these braces, the vertical posts, you can, and then lay that floor in there. Again, this floor is that 3/4 inch pressure treated plywood, and so it should be able to withstand the moisture and stuff of the chickens. There's other ways to do the door as well. You could do a hinged door where it like raises up. That's what we wound up doing. So my only one major regret was, like I said, that I did not put that chicken wire on before I did all this. You can see the interior bracing I did up here. I was able to use pocket screws so I could attach those easier, and so that just gives it a place to attach this. If you build this using the exact same dimensions I did, the sidewalls, you can do a 4x8 sheet of plywood. The front one, you cannot. So you either need to put this brace farther down and then cut your boards differently, or just do that same gap like I did at the top. So there are so many different ways to do this, and you can make it bigger, smaller, whatever. But this is what worked for us, and I'd love to. I could maybe at some point draw out full-on plans or something, but for right now, this is what we've got. It's working out great. We bought these chickens at just a couple weeks old, and raised them in their little heat thing, and they've been out here. They are not quite old enough to actually start producing eggs yet, but they seem very, very happy. We pick this up and we move it every single day. You can see this is the outline of where it just was yesterday. You know, they throw a little bit of stuff out, but they scratch up the grass really well. They dig down. They've got great fertilizer. You can see this is where they were a week or so ago, because we'll do a run. We'll start here. We'll go all the way down, bring it all the way back up, all the way back down. We'll just keep going back and forth across this part of the yard, and then the rest of the yard. So yeah, biggest complaints were I didn't put that chicken wire on when I was assembling it and when I was doing this run, and then I just am very unhappy with my door. There's probably other ways to do that door, like you could do a whole frame front, but again, I was trying to use as little wood as possible on the run so that it wasn't super duper heavy, and it still turned out way heavier than I had anticipated. So hopefully that helps you. Here I can take you through the build process. So this is what I was talking about, where I started out with just the superstructure. We've got just the bracing boards in here, my 2 wonderful daughters helping me out. And you can see here where I've already cut those angles to make sure that the roof is going to lay exactly the way I wanted it to. I did pocket holes to join those together. Obviously, that's optional. If you wanted to add extra bracing in here, you could, but essentially these are just holding the structure together, and then also just someplace to attach the sideboards. This is after we've gotten the flooring in. So again, this is what I was talking about. I just cut that 3/4 4x8 sheet of plywood square, and then I left these little spaces there so that I could just put those boards in later. Like I said, you could cut these notches out. I've seen people on YouTube do that as well, so that's an option. This is where we've got the sheeting on. Same thing, you need to make sure to cut that angle. You don't have to do an angled roof. I guess you could theoretically do a flat roof, but for snow and rain and everything, I felt like this made the most sense. Again, this bracing board across here is specifically to be able to accommodate that 4x8 sheet of plywood, and so I knew that would go right to the top of that. Then I'd have this space that I could deal with later. As I mentioned previously, this is my biggest regret. I wish at this point right here, before I put these panels up, I would have put that chicken wire all the way around this piece and left like extra going forward, because that would have made the attachment of the chicken wire way simpler. The back should be, the way I measured it out, was basically that 4x8 sheet of plywood where I didn't have to rip it at all. So I just put that panel here, put that panel here, and then I made it 5 foot wide by 4 foot deep. Again, I did that so I could use this as a 4x8 sheet of plywood. Since it's the longer, then I just had to cut that angle. So that was my economical approach to everything I did there. This is some little feet going into the door. One of the other regrets I have, obviously we've got the big door in the back, but one of the other regrets I have was that I saw a lot of other people that did like a much bigger door with better access and stuff like that. This back door is okay, but I think it would have been nice. Like I saw some people where, you know, the whole side opens up. The way I did the roosting bars on the inside made it where I could not do like that the whole side opened up. So I want to add a camera in there and I want to add lights or anything later. I have to like crawl in through here, which is not ideal. So again, that's my wonderful little fun kiddo there. I would have probably done the roosting bars a little bit different, so that I could have done like this whole side opens up or something. But for the most part, this gigantic back hatch is good enough for what we need. Here's where we started to paint it. You can see that I've got the bracing blocks in there, and this is where that roosting bar is going to go across. Again, you can see now I put that 2x4 inside of that gap. If you cut the space reliefs out here and lay it like that, you won't need this. That's just the way I decided to do it based on the equipment that I had. More painting. Again, I wish the chicken wire would have already been down and around there. We have white trim, we just haven't put it on yet. This is where I've started to put the run together. And so you can see here, if I zoom in, I don't know. Yeah, there we go. So you can see those brackets where that I've attached those. This is that 1/2-inch PVC. I believe these are 10-foot sticks. You could theoretically do bigger ones, I guess, like if you wanted the hoop to go up even higher. Again, we did PVC because it was so much lighter than everything else. We did the pocket screws here, but then you'll later see I did the 45s to give even more strength to this. I've moved this thing all around my yard. I probably want to brace it up a little bit more in the near future, like maybe adding an extra piece down here and maybe one more cross brace or something, but it has worked so far. It hasn't broken. Next, this is where I'm starting to add those in. Again, I just had these like 90-degree angle brackets laying around. This is one of the things that I also wanted to point out. I cut this door flush with this. Don't do that. So if you do that, make sure that you add maybe a little bit of a lip to the back side of that nesting box. Remember I said that if I do this again, and I probably actually will still do this at some point, is do a separate piece where there's like a floor to the nesting box. If you do that, you can make this flush mount. What happens though is whenever we go to shut this door, there's always inevitably some of those chips around this door, so I have to like manually brush those out of the way with my hand. Touching chicken poop and all that stuff, not great. So if you do that nesting box, it'll raise it up above this level, and then that will be perfect because then you can just brush them back in. Maybe put a lip along the back of the nesting box so those chips don't come back to this door and jam it up where you can't close it. These are my worry-free tires. I got these from Harbor Freight, so there's no air in them. I knew I did not want to have to lug an air compressor out there if one of them went flat. This is where we did the attachment. Again, just a 2x4 drilled all the way through, big carriage bolt to hold that in place, carriage bolt to hold the tires in place. You just pull those back. This is where we started attaching the chicken wire. Again, like I said, attach the chicken wire along one whole side of this, and then, you know, like basically drape it over, see how far you need to get, cut it on the other side, but go ahead and put all the staples in there along that one whole side. Then you can attach these brackets for your piping. And then you can later put the pipes in and then lay everything over. And same deal, you'll kind of lay that chicken wire over. It'll just be kind of a thing. You just want to make sure that you're like bend those pipes over, lay the chicken wire over, staple all along, then attach those brackets. That's the only thing. I think it's going to be strong enough, but at the same time, every little bit extra counts. This is that smaller door that I started out with. I ripped all that out and switched to the 2x4s. I didn't mention this in the video, but we just zip tied the chicken wire. You do want to make sure that the spacing in between here matches whatever chicken wire size you're using. So if you do 2 foot wide, you need to space that out, and you need to leave an overhang so that you've got extra space. And then between the panels, you want to overlay them and then zip tie them on so that there's no gaps where they can slide in between there. I added some extra ones later. So this is it done right before we put our chickens in there. A little back open. There's no chips or anything in there yet. You can see this is side out there in the yard. There's my newer, bigger door. This was super jank. I'm not happy with how I attached all this, but I needed a front support to kind of anchor the door. I'm not really sure of a better way that I could have done this. For now, it works, and we don't even use the door anyway because we access everything through the back. We don't need anything inside the run. And here's my kids enjoying the run. I just did little 45s, the little things there. And then finally, our little chicks are in there. They are enjoying the run. They are growing very rapidly. We later put this water in here, and I will also be doing a waterer, which is like the PVC system, and then I've got some of those cups as well. So I bought cups on Amazon. These are the ones I ordered on Amazon. They were 20 bucks for 5 of them. And the good thing about these is they fill with water, and then that shuts off the flow of water. And you can attach these things to virtually anything. PVC, a bucket, whatever you want. But I read online that like the little chicken nipples, forgive the phrasing there, they will sometimes rust, and so that then like your chickens wind up not getting enough water. So we'll be doing a PVC watering system similar to this one, and then I'm going to do a PVC feeding system identical to this, where it's actually, I think some other people did like a Y pipe down, but this is what I'm going to be doing for the feeding as well. And I'm going to make it where both of these systems are accessible from outside the chicken coop, so that we can fill water and fill feed from outside here. So I'm thinking it might go down and inside, or I might actually put it inside of the coop. I'm not really sure yet. We're still figuring that out. And then there's my little door. I need to add the cross bracing piece across there with my super jank fishing line that goes down along to pull it up and tie it. And like I said, a chicken door, an automatic chicken door, is probably also going to be a good investment to make sure that it's opening and closing at dawn or dusk or whatever you end up doing. But that is our little chicken coop, our little chicken tractor, actually. So I hope this helps. If you appreciate the video and you want to help me out in any other way, one of the best ways to do that would be to buy the Super Belt. It is an American-made belt with a lifetime warranty that's not made out of leather, but it's actually this proprietary material that is completely waterproof, almost indestructible. I put a link down in the description where you can actually watch videos of me pulling a truck with the belt that I wear all the time. You'll never find another belt, so if you're an awesome person that wants to build a chicken coop, you probably also need a belt that can withstand the working power that you put into life. Check out thesuperbelt.com.